All right, today is Sunday, December 17th, and I'm going to be looking at the last 2 days of the last trading week because I didn't look at the charts at all actually. And I'm also going to be talking about next week and my expectations on where I expect price to deliver for next week, just using what I've learned. So, the very first thing here's the news drivers for the next week. You can see we have a couple high impact news drivers. Now, again, what I was saying last week. Let me make sure we're on the right time frame. All right, here. All right. So I mentioned that the idea that I expected maybe price to return up here and continue lower was actually, invalidated, and there's a few reasons that wouldn't have worked out. I mean, the very first thing is the seasonal tendency right now. So from where we changed here, it wouldn't necessarily make sense for price to just take these stops and drive price all the way up here with large funds pushing price up. And also at the start of the year, we can be expecting a decline in futures, and this is just based on what I've been learning in seasonal tendencies. But compared to the U.S. dollar, the Treasury market will actually see a decline, and the Treasury market or interest rates are directly correlated with um, things like the Nasdaq or S&P, different futures, whereas the U.S. dollar is actually inverse to interest rates. So, anyways, here we are, monthly. Took that level of buy side. ES, what did I say? It was going to run that out, take that level of buy side. All right, and we'll refine this on a smaller time frame. Still bullish, right? Still bullish. Here, we just swept that. Last time actually ES hadn't fully taken out that high, but now it has. That's something that happened. Um, must have been at the end of the week, right? Then here, NQ, it's the same thing. Monthly, buy stop swept. Now we're there. And so, my expectation now is now that we've delivered on the buy side, I'm expecting price to consolidate above this old high before we see it expand lower. Also, we'll mention here, let's go to the daily, right? So on the daily, I've been talking about these quarterly shifts, and based on what I, just said, happens from January, how there's actually a seasonal decline, right? Well, if we look at where we have been, we know that every quarter or 3 to 4 months, there's going to be a shift in market structure, right? And so the very first thing is for November, we have our 60, or sorry, 20, 40, and 60 look back period, right? We were seeing a decline ultimately. Now we look forward 20, 40 days, right? And here in the 40 days, we are still moving higher. Now, what I just said, based on the consolidation, right? If price wants to consolidate here for the next 40 days, or not the next 40 days, sorry, but from uh, December 18th to December 29th, so a span of 10 days consolidating, and then we see a break lower, then we can also expect that with, expecting that to be a shift in structure around the 40-day. So we'll see. Obviously, I don't need to pick tops. Like I said, we are bullish until we expect prices lower, but I do want to incorporate that in what I'm studying. All right, same thing here. Untested monthly high, buy side liquidity has been taken, right? But ultimately, last 3 months, and then seeing where price is driving now, um, again, I'm not, going to be expecting lower prices at all until we actually see a willingness on the end of price to break below like these old stops here, because obviously we've taken these different levels of buy side, but I do believe that we'll see a more aggressive run. And bear in mind, this level here is marked from a higher time frame, so it's not exactly marked, but because of the wick. But anyways, we actually use the bodies of the candle because that shows its volume. So on all higher time frames, using just what I just said there, bullish. Okay. Gonna go down to my actual higher time frame chart, which starts from the day. But higher time frame, I don't know if I necessarily consider it higher time frame anymore, but we'll just call it the higher time frame chart. I'd say day is a high time frame. All right, so anyway, same thing. That level of buy side liquidity being taken. We have this level of sell side, these clean lows here, these untested lows here, but we're not seeing price do any of that. We're seeing price take these buy stops, take these buy stops, take these buy stops, take these stops, moving to a 40-day mark. All right, and you know, from this, if we look about how much time has elapsed, I mean, we may see it continue past 40 days, which, I mean, obviously you never know exactly where the market is going to go. It's really just probability. But in terms of what I'm looking at, I would be, you know, wanting to see that quarterly shift sooner rather than later as we move into the year. We pair that, or into the new year, we pair that with the seasonal tendency. But ultimately, still looking for price to go lower. These last 2 days of price action, by the way, this doesn't count. It would be this day and this day, right? Just consolidating, right? Like literally right as soon as we pass that high, price is just consolidating right now. All right, same thing here. Price broke above, but now it's just kind of consolidating. But it still has taken those stops by trading above the actual volume, even though here it doesn't really seem that much, right? And we can still see a more aggressive run up there. But interestingly enough, last 2 days, Thursday, Friday, last 2 days, they actually ended lower. And so we'll look at that because I'm also going to need to get the last 2 days of ranges, all right, or the high, low, and close. And also I'm going to need to get that for the week. But anyways, 4 hour. Here we go. Sweeping that level of buy side. Now we're seeing price, you know, move sideways. But here, we're looking at the last 2 days of price action in this right here. Whereas ES, it's actually a lot different. This creates this low, and it's interesting because this creates almost like a failure swing low, but it creates these relative equal highs right at the monthly. And since this is previous high, I think people are maybe now viewing this as some form of turning point. I do expect price to trade to those buy stops. Just looking here on the 4 hour. This is from Thursday's price action. So this is the, well, we can refine that more on a lower time frame. But anyways, these clean highs noted, clean low here, this low, or this right here, failure swing lower. That's one other thing we have to look at. But I'm definitely expecting price to trade those buy stops. And as I mentioned, it looks like we're going to begin consolidating, so we'll see on that as well. How about NQ? It's really nothing different here. I mean, NQ has these lows here, these lows here, these lows here, these lows here. All these levels untested, so I'm noting that because we are in a buy program. Don't necessarily expect price to trade down here because then we'd be potentially looking for a market structure shift, but I would also like to see price trade below these lows as well, and not just this low taking sell stops. And I'd want to see a more aggressive shift. And then I'd want to see price actually move aggressively away from that point. But same thing here. We're above that level. We've taken those buy stops. Let's go down to the hour now, and actually now we can look at the last week's range, and I'm gonna also define the high and low and everything. So 12 a.m. There we go. All right. That red. There we go. All right. So here's last week's trading range. All right. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we started the week lower than we ended up, and as I was mentioning, you know, there was a lot of high impact news drivers this week. So what I mentioned was that I expected those news drivers to be the reason that that level of buy side liquidity was going to be taken on those higher time frames. Also, just combining that with the obvious fact that price was not driven all the way up here just to turn around before taking those levels to buy side. So, anyways, here we are. Sell stops here, right? Sell stops here, buy stops here. But ultimately, what are we seeing, right? We're seeing price has continued higher. So ultimately, before expecting lower prices, we'd look for a shifted structure, but there's really not much more to take away from this, right? There is a difference in these pairs, as I mentioned. If we look at the last 2 days on the weekly range for NQ, we can see that Thursday and Friday, well, yeah, this Friday, Thursday and Friday here, this low, these higher lows. It's the same thing here, this failure swing low. It seems that this actually moved higher than that. So it's the same thing here. I'm just expecting price to move or continue moving higher until we see a reason for it to move lower. I don't really think that I need to say much more than that. But let me now take a note of the weekly high and low. All right. There, and then this is a low week. Price did not want to stay around there long. That. All right. Give me one moment. Friday, 12 p.m. 16878.00. Monday, 5 a.m. 16272.75. All right. Now I'm gonna go to ES. I want to make sure. Okay. Oh yeah, and did I delete those lines? I don't need those on here anymore. Okay. All right, give me 1 second just for ES. Oh wait, that's the week before. What am I doing? It's this week. Four six five 4.25. 7 a.m. Monday. Okay. 4788.50. 9 a.m. Thursday. No. Now watch, it's gonna be like magic. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do a magic trick. Sunday. All right, and then like now I go to my trading journal. Then uh hasn't shown up yet for some reason. All right, well, it wasn't as magical as I thought. Why isn't it not? Oh, there we go. Of course now. Right now, it's still not showing anything. Oh wow, it didn't copy. It's saved for some reason. That's why. It's so odd. Make sure I didn't click last week's. Also, I need to move this actually here. I need to put it weekly range. Something different. Alright. So now we're gonna go back 15 minutes. Last 2 days. And here we go. So now I can go to the 15-minute now that I've gotten the weekly range, and then I can talk about the 15-minute range, and then I can, yeah. And again, I know it may sound like I'm talking like a YouTuber or something, but it's kind of how I feel talking just about price. I'm really just doing this to educate myself. Just like, hey guys. All right. So I'm gonna note this. So look here. Hi here. Ugh. There we go. All right. You know, I also learned that NFP is a gambling news driver, and same for FOMC, but you can trade after the actual news driver. But it's possible, but because I saw ICT doing it, but he says specifically not to do it and that it's gambling, so I think it's probably best to avoid it. And honestly, I just thought, I don't know much about news drivers, so the news drivers I do know about, it's probably for a reason. Because I can't really think of any news drivers have been told to trade directly by SCT, so I think if, anyways. All right, gonna note these now. Wait, that's Friday. Wait, no, this is Thursday. All right. Thursday, 1:30 a.m. 16680.50. Friday, 11:30 a.m. 16876.75. Friday, 8:30 a.m. 16770.50. One 6668.00. 1:45 p.m. Thursday, 1:45 p.m. Thursday, 9:45 a.m. 4788.00. Friday, 5 a.m. 4788.25. Thursday, 1:45 p.m. 4755.75. Thursday, 1:45 p.m. 4755.50. Friday, 2:30 p.m. 4758.00. Okay. Now that I have that, I can go here, journal entry. Yes. All right, and Friday. Okay. Journal entry. All right, perfect. Now that we have that, these should show up. Yeah, they did. Okay. So, if we look at the chart, this day actually closed lower for ES, but I believe on NQ. Wait, no, yeah, they both closed lower. Open, close. So this closed higher. This closed. This may close higher. So decline, decline. NQ E is down. So I'll put up, and then I'll put all right, and perfect. Okay, now just gonna do this real quick. Selected area. Watch how cool this is. Alright, it's today and now. I already have it there. I just need to type weekly events. See, I'm trying to make this efficient. I'm not gonna lie. Like, as fast as you can really do it. So I wanted to type it all out, which to be honest, I don't. But alright, so to close this off, because that was just a lot of sitting and me getting that entered. But to close this off, all right, what is this ultimately? Are we seeing price continue higher? Are we seeing this condition of it creating relative equal high, going near this low, coming back up to a level of buy side, right? How about NQ? I mean, is this like the same thing, right? Literally just came, took buy stops casually, we started seeing it move lower. But ultimately, we are in a market that is, continuing higher. So we don't know. Like, I don't know this is a consolidation for sure, or most certainly. But based on us taking the last level of buy side that was like available, based on where we are and where we're moving to in the year, that's the reason that I'm expecting prices to consolidate above an old high, continue staying high, and see an expansion lower during the next quarterly shift. So yeah, I'm bullish on everything until we see a break lower, and I think that's really all there is to it. Peace.